Morning, this is the Beaver show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast.
Morning, this is the Beaver show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode number 430 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show, starring Mademoiselle Lola here on the Cryon Media Network. Yeah. And that's definitely a puppy gazing into your eyes going, human, please do not go away that long, ever, 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 ever again.
Yeah.
Oh, you were missed.
Oh,
You
have
were
no idea.
missed. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver pronouns, he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Today's date is Monday, July 22nd, 2024. It's going to be a beautiful day here at the Beaver Lodge. I hope. Otherwise, it's going to be nice. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Before we go any further, and as if you've been living under a rock, it's been a big weekend. It's been a hell of a big weekend. Oh my God, it's been a hell of a past big few weeks, whatever. But Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today?
I'm a little tired. I'm still recovering from the weekend, and by that I mean I got home at 4 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, because you got caught with the CrowdStrike thing.
Actually,
No?
it didn't affect Calgary Airport. It was just
Oh.
WestJet's ineptitude. Their flight was delayed by 2.5 hours, and they charged me $68 to check a bag on a delayed flight. They will never get a red cent from me ever, ever, ever again.
Mm-hmm.
You will, no, not happening. No way. I will never fly with them again. WestJet, you burned your bridge with me. The flight was delayed by 2.5 hours, and you still charge me $68 to check a bag. Help a brother out here. Never again. First experience, worst experience. Never
Not good customer
again.
service. No.
So I'll fly Porter and the dreaded Air Canada from here on out. WestJet never gets my money again. I don't give a shit. That's not how you treat your customers.
Yep.
Now, the staff on the flight, wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful staff on the flight. I'm not holding the staff responsible for this. I'm holding the organization responsible for this.
Yep. That's a policy thing.
Exactly.
Yep.
The flight was good, as could be, considering. Brand new aircraft. Did you know that new aircraft have no video screens? None. Neither the flight there or the flight back had video screens. I watch movies on my phone, right?
Right.
But yeah, no screens. Okay, fine. I don't care. I got a phone. I can use that,
Right.
right? Porter has free Wi-Fi, free drinks, and free food. WestJet, who was 2.5 hours late, did not offer anything but soda, water, and one simple bag of pretzels. Anything else you wanted, you had to pay for, including Wi-Fi, which is free on Porter.
Mm-hmm.
So again, WestJet, you will never see a red cent from me ever again. Worst first experience ever. Nope, you're done. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that.
Yep.
I get home at 4 a.m. Well, we landed at 3:10. By the time we got off the aircraft and got our luggage, it was about 3:45. Took an Uber home. Of course, I met my beloved at the door, and then my very excited dogo, who was very happy to see me. So I had to take her out right away because she was so happy she had to pee.
Yeah.
I got to bed at around 5, and Lola woke me up at 6 to go back out again. So I took her out again, and then I went back to sleep for about 4 hours. So Saturday was I was a zombie.
Right off. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have spelled my name correctly on Saturday. So Sunday, not a whole lot better, to be honest with you, because your whole system is thrown out of whack, and everything is actually 2 hours earlier for me, right? So because I'm still on Mountain Time. So yeah, today will probably be back to normal. I'm hoping, because I need to get back to whatever normal is.
Mm.
How about this normal sleep pattern? There you go.
That would be nice.
Well, I mean, I was getting up every day at 4:30 for the last 2 weeks, which is difficult enough.
Yep.
I would take a nap afterwards, but it's interrupted sleep. Right?
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So,
Same thing at my end here. We were talking a little bit before the show, and saying that you were a little frustrated and not much patience for stuff, and I've been in the exact same spot. I don't know what happened, but about 2-3 days ago, I hit a wall.
Oh.
I mean, I knew I was tired.
Yeah.
I knew I had to stop. That's why I cut certain commitments and stuff. But I hit a wall, and I have been in quite a funk.
Oh.
The last 48 hours.
Well, let me explain to you why I didn't respond to any of your emails. I did see them.
Yep.
But I typing was a challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Don't worry. It's I wasn't. Listen, I love tennis. Mm-hmm. Yesterday was a perfect day. 25-26. Yeah. I did not even seek.
Really?
I thought about it for 1 second, and I thought, "Oh God, that's just gonna no."
Well,
no. I've just I have low energy, no appetite, all that kind of stuff. But just I'm hardwired for happiness and optimism. There's no joy.
Mm-hmm.
The last 48 hours, it's just been hard, and we settled the stuff with the insurance.
Right.
So I thought there would be like a weight lifted.
And
maybe the weight is lifted, but now I'm just realizing how much I've been carrying.
Oh.
And I am this beaver is tired.
Yeah, I understand that.
Real tired. My beaver sweetie, bless his heart, has been trying. Took me out to dinner, has made lovely meals.
So is this a brain chemistry thing that's going on with you, do you think?
I think I mean, I guess it is possible. Can't
Mild depression could be.
If it is, it would be situational, probably more, because I let's not kid ourselves. I have been going pretty full steam. for the last little while. And then, you add full steam, and we've had two things just in the last 3 months that have happened that have just, the asbestos removal was 5 digits.
That's a lot of money.
So that got thrown our way, and the car is totaled.
Yeah.
Which means there might
So
be
what's the
another
third
one.
thing? They happen in threes, right? What's the third thing?
I don't know yet.
Well, don't worry about it. You'll be able to deal with it whenever it happens.
But yes, we've an extra $20,000 to $25,000 this year that we did not plan to spend while we're already taking on debt
Which
for
sucks,
renovations.
but let's look at the positive side. You could afford to do it.
With loans and grants and stuff, yes.
But what I'm saying is you have access to that, right?
Yeah, yes.
So
we
you
have
got to. I'm trying to put a positive spin.
No. Trust me, it's literally just the moment.
Yeah,
is a lot.
Yeah, you're just feeling overwhelmed. It happens.
Yeah,
we all
overwhelmed, and so yeah, some of the things are like. How would I put it? The renovation, the siding and exterior and asbestos part is done. All we need to do is now negotiate the bill, which is a meeting tomorrow, which I hope goes smoothly.
Yeah.
And then everything with the insurance is dealt with except receiving the check,
which is
like this, but it will happen. Everything's in place. But of course, then starts the discussion: do we get another one, and what kind, and how much? And it's like the whole renovation discussion has been technical. And then my Beaver sweetie is a scientist, so when I'm proofreading his documents and we're talking about stuff, it's technical. And now we're looking at maybe having to get a car. I don't drive. This 4-cylinder, 8-cylinder, like this, and if it's electric, this type of battery, I don't know a thing. I can't contribute to that conversation. And it's just like, I don't want to have to learn a whole other
teaching old dog new tricks.
No, it's looking for an electric car. It's a whole nother language, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so, and of course, we're a couple.
Well, an electric car is going to run you $50,000 minimum.
Yeah, but my input is sought. We're looking at a used. But my input is sought. But I don't drive. I know nothing about traditional cars.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you where to push the clutch.
There's no clutch on an electric car.
No, I know that. I know that I know. But on a regular car, right? It was like I could never drive manual. They won't let me drive. I'm a menace. I've tried twice. I'm terrible at it.
This is why we have licensing for driving cars.
Yes.
Not everybody is meant to drive one, period. It's just a simple matter of fact. I will never get a motorcycle license because I cannot wrap my brain around, okay, now that's the throttle. Is that the clutch or is that the clutch? I can never remember. Right. Literally.
Right.
And you give me anything with four wheels, no problem. You give me a bicycle, no problem. I'm an ace on a motorcycle, no. I will kill myself. I know this. I know my limitations, and I cannot wrap my brain around. Gear shift is down here on the left. Is it 2 down, 1 up, or 1 up, or 2 down? How do I? Oh shit! I hit the front brake, not the clutch. I went head over. No, motorcycles are not meant for me.
See, that's like for me. It's gonna sound weird. From curling, some people play with a gripper on both feet as they're sweeping.
And
when I learned to play this, we put tape on the bottom of the shoe so it was there all the time.
Yes.
So I've tried playing with 2 grippers to sweep like this. Every now and then I go like this and I try to slide and boom, fall flat on my face. It's just I just can't unlearn it. I don't understand how people do it. So yeah, so just to say this, like, we now have to have discussions as a couple about what if we want to get a car. First of all, would it just be cheaper to do virtue car and like rent one when we need like this, or do we want one? is new or used, electric or not. If it's electric, then, well, when we did the upgrade, we put in 220 so that we could put in an electric charger, but we did
Okay.
put in the electric charger because we
No, but it's
figured
ready
we'd
to
still
go.
have a car.
Yeah.
We figured we'd run this one into the ground first, right?
Well, you
We
kind of
kind of
did.
did. I guess if I can laugh about it, it's not that bad. But yes,
Well,
but yeah, like I said, it's just the concept of having to learn about cars in order to be able to be a good partner for this to be a couple decision. I would just rather say, you know what, you just choose whatever you like. I really don't care because
so
I just don't want,
my
and I don't
buddy,
want to learn a whole other subject.
who has only been driving for about 15 years. He's in his 60s now. He never got a license because he didn't need one because he lived downtown, everything. But then his life changed a bit and he needed a car, so he got his license. In his late 40s, early 50s. I can't remember exactly when. And he's only driven automatic. He doesn't know how to drive a stick, like most Gen Z. Not millennials. Millennials do know how to drive a stick. Millennials are in their 40s now, okay? So let's get that straight. Gen Z don't know how to drive stick, and it's very difficult to find stick in North America now. New cars, Honda stopped making them. Mine was the last. BMW stopped making them, like for the North American market. You just cannot buy a stick shift in this country anymore, which is a shame because I love to drive stick because I feel like I'm driving. Now, that being said, my buddy for the first time took his boss's car. They went out for lunch last week, and his boss said, "You've never driven this before." He says, "No." He says, "Give it a go." Tesla Model 3, entry level, basic model, 2 motors, not the 4. And he says, "Okay, we got a nice little straightaway here." He says, "Hit the gas." What else are you going to call it? You don't
Right,
call it the accelerator. That's a
right,
mouthful, right?
right.
So he hits the gas, and he's like, "Holy crap!" Yes, you have instant torque right to the wheels right away.
Mm-hmm.
So to go from 0 to 60, even in the base model, is incredible. After
Mhm.
60, it's not so much,
Okay.
right? Because it doesn't have the bigger motors. It doesn't have the most
Right.
torque. Same thing. Have you ever rented a scooter?
Nope.
So every now and then I'll hop on a bird scooter, and each time I'm like, oh, because when you hit the accelerator or the gas or whatever you want to call it, you have instant torque. So you go to full speed in like a split second.
Okay.
And it's like, whoa, it's not that fast actually. But it's because it takes off so quickly. It's a
Right.
bit of a startle.
Yeah.
So he's
There's
noticed
a
that with
jolt.
the electric car. Even the most base model, because you have instant torque, because the motor's right on the wheels. There's no loss of power. Oh,
Mm.
it's like immeasurable mostly, the loss of power. There's always a minimal amount of loss, but it's compared to an internal combustion engine, it's night and day.
Mm.
And anybody who's ever driven an electric car will be like, I did not know you could have that much torque. I've never seen that much torque before. So if you guys get an electric, you will notice that immediately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So quickly, let's get rolling on the show today because we're kind of bantering and babbling and trying to get our heads straight over what just took place yesterday.
Well, that's the thing that hasn't made it easier.
No.
Oh my God. All right.
Did you see that coming? Because I honestly, the way he was going, I thought, no, he's going to stay in the race. He's going to stay in the race. He's going to stay
Listen,
in the race.
I had this bit prepared for
Right.
this show
hmm
where I took 2 Broadway songs and I rewrote some lyrics and I
Yeah.
was going to sing them.
hmm And they're no good
And
anymore.
the one that I had for Joe Biden.
hmm
Right. Okay. Let's put it this way. What they did to that man
Oh yeah.
is freaking unforgivable.
Agreed.
At the same time, they are calling him the most successful president probably in the last 50 years.
Yes.
Got more accomplished in 1 term than many got accomplished in 2.
Yes.
I guess. And considering the opposition he's got,
And he came out of the pandemic and right.
Right. This guy deserved better.
He did. I agree.
Right. So, and the push came from the inside.
Mhm. The calls were coming from inside the house, quite literally.
And it's what I said the other day. It's like, I do not understand how the party that has the 34 times felon, not yet convicted because he hasn't been sentenced,
right?
Technically, 34 times found guilty, because who is, according to civil courts in New York, a rapist.
Yes. There's no denying it. E. Jean Carroll had him convicted twice, and 3 times, twice.
Yes.
Don't know.
Guess who ran a charity that was a scam?
Ran a university that was a scam.
This guy, who led an insurrection, this guy has the United Party against him, behind him.
Yeah.
And the most successful doesn't.
Yeah.
Because he's so old. When the other guy's old. Because he's losing a step. When the other guy's lost 50. Like, and it's been it's been a drumbeat in the media, and we have the same parallel here in Canada with Justin Trudeau, not because he's old, but he's out of touch. People are just tired of him. People want him to go. It's just that drumbeat, constant, all
It's
the
a
time.
bullshit drumbeat, and I'm sick of hearing it, to be honest with you. I was sick of it with Biden. I'm sick of it with Trudeau. I'm sick of it.
But the thing is that the difference between Canada and the United States is that there's been like 1 or 2 people like this within the party, like a couple of MPs going on like this. It hasn't all blown out yet in public like this. But in the United States, right?
It was everybody.
About like when George Clooney did that thing,
yeah.
like the fundraising just like dried up.
Yeah.
Right. And you had Nancy Pelosi, a woman that this man has been behind every freaking step of the way.
Yep.
Turning around, going to the news and going, Joe Biden really needs to make a decision. When Joe Biden has said like 50 freaking times already, I'm still running. He's like literally saying, and I am telling you, I'm not going.
Yeah.
This is the best job I've ever known. There's no way I'll ever go, darling. There's no way. No way. I'm not running this race now. I had the whole thing.
Well, throw it out because it's now Kamala Harris. And have you noticed how the fundraising has exploded?
Yes.
Since he stepped
$45
aside.
million.
Yeah. In hours.
$28 million in small donations in the first 5 hours.
Unbelievable.
30 million about
the Republicans are shitting their pants right now.
Oh yeah.
Did you see Jared Kushner on CNN or was CNN or Fox? One of them. He was freaking out. They shouldn't be allowed to do this at the last minute. We spent money to campaign against Joe Biden. Now we have to campaign. You don't like how democracy works, Jared? Is that the problem? Or no, it was Stephen Miller, not Jared Kushner. What am I saying? Stephen Miller. My apologies.
Nosferatu.
Sorry, Jared Kushner. You're an arse too, but you're less of an arse than Miller. Miller's a hateful arse. You're just a greedy arse. There's a difference. And Miller was literally freaking out. Why are they allowed to do it? It's called democracy. They're allowed to do this. There's no rules against it. There's no statement against it. It's unprecedented in the United States of America, but it's been done in other democracies for centuries. So you don't like it? Well, it was Joe's right to step aside, which he has done. And Kamala Harris, I think, is about to lead a majority government. I think she's going to win.
Oh, don't be so sure. It's not going to be that easy.
I think she's going to win. You know why? She's going to get the female vote.
Don't interpret this as I don't believe she can win.
Oh no,
don't interpret this as a Republicans are going to do everything to make sure she can't even be on the ticket first before.
But they won't be able to prevent a damn thing. They will try, but they can't do anything.
They've got the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I know.
There are no rules anymore. This is not the same game.
Exactly, which means Joe Biden, who is the king of the United States of America, could just say, she's the candidate. Fuck you. Right? I mean, literally, they've given him that power. It's about to backfire in their faces.
So,
why doesn't he just appoint her next queen? I mean, doesn't he have the power to do that right now?
I guess so. I mean, Listen, I do not know how this works, but like, listen, there are no rules, but the five, because even Amy Coney Barrett didn't side with the didn't side with some of the men on a few things, but the five Republican male appointed justices on the Supreme Court are the ones that have said, we will decide ultimately whether something is an official act or not an official act, which then creates the situation like whenever a Republican president says something terrible, etc. Oh, well, that was an official act. And whenever a Democrat, assuming that there is ever another Democrat president ever again, goes, oh, well, no, that's not an official act. The way that things are set up is that these five men get to decide what's official and what's not official. And given that they just frickin' grabbed the founding fathers by the pussy on presidential immunity and kings,
Yeah.
because it's completely arbitrary. It's completely arbitrary. And then on the presidential side, should a Republican get in, you get the situation where, hey, I want to do something illegal. I want to have my political enemies rounded up or killed. Well, that's illegal. I'm ordering you to do it. Well, that's illegal. Don't worry, I'll pardon you. Pardon you is my sole discretion, constitutional discretion, and that is not even to be questioned according to that. So go ahead. Literally, they have set things up for the White House to be the seat of crime, to be a mafia organization, and those five judges decide what is and what isn't official. And for a lot of stuff, in that decision, they just turned around and they said, oh, yeah, if it's within your core presidential powers, we don't need to look at that at all. Ever. Ever. While also at the same time in another decision saying, hey, all you regulatory bodies, yeah, we're the experts now. But that's literally what they've created for themselves. So it's a dangerous situation. So you have Biden, who was going to stay and then being pushed by everyone, and literally everyone. Pelosi, Schumer, donors started cutting off the funds. Yes. So basically, they all pushed him.
Oh, yes.
And there's this thing, there's an article that was spotted by people at the Daily Beans, which I consider our mother show. See, I'm going all off because there's a whole bunch of things, but one of the reason this happened, it seems, has to do with ratings. There was an article in CNN itself, and I can't remember what it is now. Oh, darn, I had pulled it up this morning, and I had forgotten it. Paid for ratings. CNN ratings dropped 96%, causing CNN. There we go. After the presidential debate, the CNN's ratings had cratered 92, 96%. Basically, the situation that happened is that nobody wanted to watch the rerun. And media was getting killed. And basically, they were convinced that there was no way in hell that the Republicans would ditch their candidate for being old.
Right.
Not all up there. So they started the Biden is so old thing. And they beat the drum, 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 and they beat the drum. Now that drum had started before, but the debate thing just really then kicked it into high gear. Because people just said, oh, this is over, this is done. And so they basically eliminated Biden. They got the whole drumbeat because they wanted someone younger and fresher and newer and more interesting to cover.
Yeah.
This was a coup. It was an internal coup. For media, we are bored with the people that we have to cover. Here we go. CNN by Oliver Darcy. Shakeups in the 2024 race provided much needed jolt in interest for news outlets. This is CNN writing about it itself, telling on itself. After months of tuning out what had been a fairly predictable and uneventful race between the two-party incumbents, recent earth-shaking events have upended the state of politics, adding an unexpected wrinkle to the storyline and prompting audiences to turn their attention to the high-stakes showdown between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. In other words, the 2024 drought appears to be over as Americans show renewed interest in a race that has suddenly been thrown into upheaval. In recent weeks, tens of millions of people thirsty for information have turned to news organizations for coverage of the consequential CNN presidential debate and its aftermath, the attempted assassination of Trump, and the Republican National Convention. The CNN debate averaged 51 million viewers. Networks averaged about 19 million viewers after Trump was shot, and the first night of the RNC averaged 18 million viewers. On digital platforms, numbers have also traveled upwards, with the major events sending spikes or traffic to news organizations. To be clear, the television ratings and interest generated by the twists and turns of the 2024 election have not been historic by any means, even though the events are. Viewership is relatively in line with years past, if not a bit lower. They did all of this to get just a bit lower than they were in years past. That's how bad the ratings were. That's how bad they were tanking.
That's pretty bad.
But the startling news cycle has unquestionably breathed life into what had been a sleepy race, offering jolts to the system. Last week, as the news cycle took yet another abrupt turn, the cable news networks topped both primetime and total day viewership across cable, posting double-digit percentage increases over last month on MSNBC, the day after Donald Trump, the assassination attempt happened. Morning Joe was canceled because they said that they were going to be doing breaking news feed for like constantly for like
And that
but
didn't
for the
really
next
occur.
48 hours. Prior to the presidential debate, which set off alarm bells over Biden's acuity and stamina, audience levels had hovered at lows, with most of the country opting against investing their time following incremental updates on a race that many had already made up their minds about. But with Biden's 2024 future now in serious doubt, this was written a couple of days ago, and Trump having just survived an attempt on his life, Americans are standing to attention, eager to learn what comes next. This offers a glimmer of good news for the media industry, which usually enjoys surges in audience levels and advertising revenue during major election seasons, and it is especially welcome this year with media organizations struggling amid a difficult business environment. Are you freaking kidding me right now?
No. No.
I'm just... So, that's happened. And the reason why I sort of said about Harris, it's not that she can't do the job. It's not that she's not good. In fact, there are some polls that have been recently came out that was showing that she was actually performing a little better than Biden head to head.
Did you know that in 2016 Donald Trump donated to her when she was a senator?
Yes. And so, for example, the NPR PBS Marist poll had Biden leading Trump 50-48. It was the only one of the four majors in which he was leading this. Harris leads 50-49, so it's a slightly wider margin. But if you look at the CBS News YouGov poll, Biden was trailing by 5 points, Trump 47-52 in that one. And this one, Harris Trump, it's 48-51, so it's 3. So it shows there's a little bit of a gap. It shrinks a little, but there wasn't much difference. This is between July 7th and July 21st. The numbers are about the same. But where it becomes interesting is if you look deeper into the data. So according to this article, Before the assassination attempt, both the president and Harris trailed Trump by 2-point margins among registered voters, though the actual percentages for each candidate was slightly different. Trump led Biden 45 to 43, while he took 47 to Harris's 45. In their matchup, both ballot tests fell within the poll's margin of error. And then you get into the other things, like, for example, within the Black community. Harris slightly outperformed Biden among Black voters, leading Trump among this demographic by 64 points, 78 to 14, which compares to Biden's 57-point lead among Black voters, 69 to 12. So there's a 7-point difference there where she has an advantage. And the Black community is particularly important to the Democratic Party. They organize, right? On the other hand, the NBC News poll showed that Trump doing slightly better among white voters when matched up with Harris, instead of Biden leading her by 16 points rather than 14. So he gets a little bump. It's only 2% more. Whereas the Democrats get about 7% more among the Black community. But Trump will get 2% more among whites. One of the biggest difference, it goes beyond demographics, and this is when we're talking about registered voters specifically. Among the roughly 1/4 of Republican registered voters in the poll who said they were unsatisfied with Trump as the GOP's nominee, Trump ran ahead of Biden by 46 points, 63-17. But when Trump's opponent was Harris, more of these dissatisfied GOP voters flocked to Trump. The Republicans' lead within that group grew to 57 points. So that's the racism factor here.
Mm-hmm.
Among registered Republicans, it's like, some of them may have chosen the couch instead. But oh my God, if the president might be a Black woman, well, then, yeah, we're going to vote. So there's 11 points difference there. Right? So it's the fact that she's Black and female, and also, let's not forget part Asian. All those things are probably going to, everybody that's worried about white replacement.
Which is, who cares? Look,
right?
The white replacement theory makes me chuckle. Even if it were true, who gives a shit? Really?
I know.
How is this going to affect you? It's not. Get over it. Get over it. That one just kills me. That is like the stupidest damn thing I've ever heard. It's inevitable that we're all going to be some shade of brown.
Yeah. And then the other type of voter is what they call third-party interested voters, people that were interested really in neither Trump or Biden. So in a head-to-head matchup, Trump took 32% and Biden took 31%. When you add that up, that's 63. So that means a plurality had decided to make a two-way choice, saying that they were either undecided or would pick another candidate or something else. When Harris was the choice against Trump, more of the respondents made a pick in the two-way ballot test. The vice president went ahead of Trump among these other voters 46 to 39%, suggesting a higher upside with voters currently considering a third-party candidate.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of very, very important. And then the other part, for some reason I don't see it in here, but I remember I read it. I think the other group, of course, is independents. And I believe when I was reading the article, for some reason it's not here, Harris was doing better with independents than Biden.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the middle that they're trying to swing. So even though the top line numbers don't seem to show much difference, that could be in the key things, in that mushy middle that needs to swing, that is open to swinging one way or the other. She does better.
Well, did you know that recently on an episode of whatever the program is called that Sean Hannity is on, he tried to make hay out of the fact that she supported a bill or tabled a bill and supported Bernie Sanders or vice versa. I can't remember the exact details of it, where she wanted to go for single payer healthcare like we have here in Canada, which by the way, she grew up under because she went to school in Montreal. Her mother
Right.
her mother, a doctor, a physician, worked at Jewish General Hospital in Montreal.
Mhm.
So she understands how our system works. So
Right.
she supported Bernie Sanders. And Sean Hannity was like, she tried to get a single payer healthcare system up here or down here. I'm like, you mean like the rest of the civilized democratic world has that thing?
Yep.
They're the only nation on earth of the, well, shit, G100, if you will, that has a for-profit healthcare system solely. The only one. All civilized, no, that's not the word. All democracies around the world have some sort of universal healthcare system or another. Some have two-tier, but the two-tier one, like that they have in Switzerland, is designed that the public healthcare system gets funding and gets propped up and gets supported, so that if you want to pay for private, you can, but most people don't, because the public healthcare system there is very, very good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we've got idiots in this country, and I say idiots because they're biting off their nose, cutting off their nose despite their own face, trying to privatize healthcare, but that only benefits like what, a few billionaires, which by the way, if you're a billionaire, you don't need any more money. I saw something just yesterday about how somebody says you get to $999 million. That's it. All the billions, anything you earn after that goes right to the public purse. And we give you an award. Congratulations, you've won capitalism. You don't need more money. We do. You don't. So when they try and privatize our system in this country, and they're trying to do it little by little, step by step, incrementally, including what they're doing to the LCBO, and remember, what's happening there is, well, it's a little suspect if you ask me, because of the fact that look who is on the board here. Let me just put this on the screen for you so you can see it. For those of you who don't know, because I am going somewhere with this. For those of you who don't know, Stephen Harper, sitting on Quebec Alimentation Couche-Tard Board since March 2024, which owns the U.S. company Circle K, who got most of the private licenses for alcohol sales in Ontario. Nomination happened during Ford's process of privatization. Like Dracula, Harper always comes back. So they are trying to bring in Americanized privatization to healthcare and liquor sales and destroy our institutions that send tax dollars to the benefit of the public purse. Kamala Harris is trying to do the opposite of that by trying to bring in a public healthcare, universal single-payer system like we have here in Canada, that we have former politicians and current politicians are trying to destroy. She's doing the exact opposite. This is a woman who gets it. This is a woman who will do what she can to make things better for every American.
Okay.
So,
I was wondering where you were going there with that for a bit, but yeah. Okay, I see it.
I know it looks like a tangent, but I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
On that note, I'm going to grab a coffee. I'll be right back.
All right. Now, the issue with this, actually, you know what? Before we do that, because this is really how I should have opened, was by reading the resignation letter, not the resignation letter, but the step-down letter of President Biden. July 21st, 2024. My fellow Americans, over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation. Today, America has the strongest economy in the world. We've made historic investments in rebuilding our nation, in lowering prescription drug costs for seniors, and in expanding affordable health care to a record number of Americans. We've provided critically needed care to 1 million veterans exposed to toxic substances, passed the first gun safety law in 30 years, appointed the first African American woman to the Supreme Court, and passed the most significant climate legislation in the history of the world. America has never been better positioned to lead than we are today. I know none of this could have been done without you, the American people. Together, we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We've protected and preserved our democracy, and we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. I will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about my decision. For now, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who have worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work, and let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today what I always have, that there is nothing America can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember we are the United States of America. So he posted that at 1:46 p.m. yesterday. And then, not long after, because people started wondering, does that mean that he will endorse Kamala Harris at 2:13 p.m.? So actually, so not that long after. My fellow Democrats, I have decided not to accept the nomination and to focus all my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term. My very first decision as the party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president, and it's been the best decision I've made. Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this. So, the thing why I was a little when Mr. Grizzly was saying she's got it. This definitely puts her as the front runner, but the convention hasn't taken place yet. And because Biden is no longer in the running to be the candidate, his delegates are free to do as they would. Now, technically, the ticket that all the delegates voted for was a Biden-Harris ticket.
Correct.
So at least people voted for her. In the case of the Republicans, because Trump decided he was going to wait until the convention to nominate to name his vice presidential candidate, nobody has actually expressed votes for J.D. Vance, but for Kamala Harris, there has been. So that does give her some legitimacy. But the party's rules require that the delegates vote on their leadership candidate either virtually prior to the convention on August 7th or at the upcoming convention on the 19th. And the plan originally was to have the votes done virtually so that Biden would be declared the nominee around the 7th, I guess, and then just do the acceptance on the 19th rather than. But now you've got. The question is whether or not you're going to have a race or not. Whether or not people are just going to accept or somebody's going to try and run against her. And the thing that makes me a little antsy, and I don't know if they're just not doing this because they don't want to put their thumbs on the scale or not, but Nancy Pelosi, after, recognizing Joe Biden for all the wonderful things, now that he is stepping down, making room, just a little two-faced, considering that she pushed him out. But she did not endorse Kamala Harris. There's a lot of top Democratic leaders in Congress who have stopped short of endorsing Harris. Now, she has picked up tons of endorsements. Senator Amy Klobuchar has, the Clintons have, different unions, organizations. As you can see, the money started coming in again. So there's absolutely no lack of people rushing to endorse her. But the question is whether or not anyone's going to run against her. Somebody's going to have to do it quickly. And it seems that there is one person who might be, and you'll never guess who the frick it is.
Who's that?
Joe Manchin.
Yeah, I saw that.
They just got rid of one Joe.
Yeah.
This is not your moment, buddy. Yes. And so the most Republican of the Democrats is thinking maybe this is his chance. And here's the other thing that's going on. If you've been paying attention to the New York Times, they published an editorial saying that Trump is unfit. Finally. Because if you've been looking at the coverage of the New York Times, the actual news coverage, this has been really trashing Biden like crazy. Like this, and almost like making the case for Trump. And then said Trump is unfit. Well, there have been two editorials that have been published. One of them's from Aaron Sorkin, the writer of The West Wing, and you know what he suggests? The Democrats should be really bold and recruit Mitt Romney.
And you know what? I don't think that's outrageous because Mitt Romney. Did you see his statement regarding
Absolutely.
Biden?
Yes.
It was reminiscent of
John McCain.
Thank you. Yes, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of policies, and we argue about a lot of things. But I have a great deal of respect for this man. And one of the things Romney said was, "I am not this new breed of Republican. I'm an old school Republican."
Mm-hmm.
Which, you know, again, I didn't see eye to eye with their policies, but at least I could respect that they respected the rule of law, the Constitution, how things work.
Yes, absolutely.
And Romney is like that. Is Romney a great guy? Well, you know what? Compared to the current nominee for president in the Republican Party, yeah, Romney is a great guy.
Yeah. But so you see that, and then the other thing. What was the other one? I had it. No, I lost it. Oh darn! Can't remember. But all these things is like, why is everybody proposing that there be a race between two Republicans?
I don't know.
They're literally suggesting that the Democratic Party pick a former Republican, or Joe Biden say, here's the time for the most Republican of the Democrats to run for the leadership. And like I said, there was another story. I wish I could remember it off the top of my head. It was also New York Times, another person that they were suggesting could be the person like this, which is like another damn Republican. Like, what the hell?
In all honesty, I think their best bet would be to have Pete Buttigieg on the ticket, because the Republicans are scared shitless of that guy. Because have you seen him every time he's on Fox News?
Yep.
He eviscerates them, but he does so politely in a calm and measured tone.
Yep. And that's the other thing that becomes then who becomes the vice president if she gets it. But here's the thing is the Democrats, right, who had the reason to have every single advantage going into this election. They had a president that had done the most. They had, a diverse ticket. Trump is an unsympathetic figure, right? Then all of a sudden, the Supreme Court does something unexpected, expected or unexpected, but does go so far wide and makes a king that Judge Eileen Cannon drops the documents case, which was the one that's most likely for him to be, convicted.
Mm-hmm.
Because, he did take the documents and he wouldn't give them back. It's kind of open and shut. And then he did a whole bunch of other stuff too. So you've got those two things going on. And then all of a sudden, in a good economy and numbers are going to get better, interest rates are going to start going down, inflation's being curbed, whatnot, right? He's all set. And then all of a sudden, all this drama and everything's being upended. And now the Democrats basically go in disarray, remove their leader, force him out, and now you're going to tell me that you are considering having a race when you have the first Black woman? Considering what the Black community did to get you Biden as president in the first place, like this, you're even going to entertain this concept?
Well, I think a Buttigieg Harris ticket would not only be monumental, you could have a woman of color, two things there as president. And the vice president is a married gay man.
Yes, with children.
With children. That would have the heads explode of every...
Who can't speak to evangelicals.
Yes. It would have heads exploding. And I am so here for it.
Well, same here. I mean, I said the same thing. You know, she has to pick. But there are, like, for example, if she picks Senator Mark Kelly, for example, he's from Arizona. If she picks Governor Josh Shapiro, he's from Pennsylvania. It's a swing state, right?
Mhm.
There's so there's other considerations, and then everybody's like, oh, I don't know if people are going to be ready to vote for a black woman. I don't know. Black woman again. Oh, it's like, when I'm sitting there, freaking make some heads explode. Go get the kids, right? Go get the youth vote. Show that you're changing. Another thing people are considering, how about an all-female ticket with Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan? Now, Whitmer and Newsom have both said that they were on the record before all this happened, saying that they weren't interested in being a vice presidential nominee should Joe Biden have to leave. So I don't know if they're considering maybe throwing their hat in the ring for the leadership itself. Right? But if we get to the point, it's like, oh, wait a minute. We have a chance for a black female president?
Well,
The outgoing president endorses her, and other people are going to throw their hat in the ring to make it a cut? You're going to lose so many people. You're going to lose so many people. But it's just, you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, there's been enough turmoil already. Let's just put Kamala in, let her choose her VP, make it nice and orderly, and all, go shoulder to shoulder behind her, and let's do this thing. Because there's always got to fucking be one, right?
Always.
I want to run. Even like Joe Biden, when he was running like this, still Marianne Williamson and another person still decided. Like this, technically there was a primary. There were other candidates. But I mean, like, there's always got to be one. So it's just like, do not do this to your base strategically. Do not create another avenue of on the news. Oh, somebody threw in is this racism? Do they want to get rid? They want to make sure that the woman doesn't get it. They want to make sure that the black person doesn't get it. They want to make sure that the East Asian, not the East Asian, but the part Asian person is like this. All that's going to do is start that off.
Well, Kamala
just hand the torch.
Kamala is black and South Asian. Right?
Yes, South Asian. Yes,
and her husband is Jewish, and Pete Buttigieg is a gay married man with children. You're checking off all the boxes. I know it's not a checklist, but I mean, it would have heads exploding.
The most diverse ticket by far.
Ever. Now, and Buttigieg isn't even on the ticket yet, but I think he should be. And don't be surprised if you find him there.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And a lot of Democrats are calling for it, and I can understand why. He's smart.
He's the most effective communicator they got.
By far.
He will go where Republicans are and speak to them.
Yeah.
He's not afraid.
How many times he appears on Fox News frequently.
Oh, yeah.
And every time he does, I'm like, why do you keep having him back? He just destroyed you. But he does it in such a polite, kind, non-condescending, and informative manner.
Yeah.
Non-confrontational, non-condescending, informational. Yes. Like he's a great communicator, period.
And interesting from Pete Buttigieg, July 21st, 2024. Joe Biden has earned his place among the best and most consequential presidents in our history. Americans are much better off because of his leadership and accomplishments. He always puts our country first, and as he demonstrated today, and I know he will continue to do so for the rest of his term. Kamala Harris is now the right person to take up the torch, defeat Donald Trump, and succeed Joe Biden as president. I have seen her extraordinary leadership firsthand, working closely with her during the 2020 campaign and then in the historically effective Biden-Harris administration. I will do all that I can to help her win this election to lead America forward as our next president. Secretary of Transportation has already endorsed, instantly endorsed.
Yes. So, interesting. I think he's going to be on the ticket, but what Saucy Seawitch is saying here, won't lie, kind of want to see Katie Porter on her whiteboard. Yeah. Do you imagine?
Boy. Oh boy.
If you come for Katie Porter, you best be prepared
Hey,
because she is armed to the teeth with facts and numbers and knows her shit.
and
The
here's the
best one
thing.
I ever saw, the best one I ever
Yes.
saw was when she was debating with she was trying to inform a guy, and he said something to the effect, well, according to this book, blah, 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 blah. He goes, do you know anything about it? She goes, yeah, I wrote it.
Yeah.
And it was like silence. No, that's my book. I wrote it. I know about economics. Don't try and teach her what she already knows.
Yep.
I love it when they try and pull that stunt. Well, according to this book, you're wrong. No, I wrote that book. Yeah, that's me who did that. I was the one.
Flip it over. See.
Yeah. The next page. Look at the next page. You
That's my
stop. You
picture.
didn't read the whole thing clearly, because if you look at the next page, you'll see it supports what I'm saying right here, right now, in front of you.
And if you look on the flap on the inside cover, you will see my picture.
Yeah.
My picture is on the damn book.
Another rich old white man trying to mansplain shit to a vastly intelligent, an accomplished woman who knows her shit, who, by the way, is a single mother who and struggled for a very long time. She admittedly struggled. She says, I know what it's like to balance a budget when you've got no budget to balance. So her as I think appoint her as the supreme being of economic policy. She's somebody who would really get things done to help the downtrodden.
Yep.
Right?
Yes. Yep. She would. So, should Harris get the nomination, and this is the part that I'm finding really exciting. It's like, can you imagine the place that a Jasmine Crockett would play in that campaign? Ocasio-Cortez.
Oh yeah. And I saw something recently from AOC, and people are really going, I was not a big fan of hers before, but I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people lately come up and say that, and I'm like, well, I get
Well, she's
it.
shown she could be reasonable.
Yeah.
Like this, I mean, she is on the more left of the party. Yes, she wasn't a big fan of Biden at the start.
No, she wasn't.
And she had his back. She was one of the people that was saying, no, this is the guy who brought us. He's been the most progressive president. Like, I'm backing him. Everybody thought, whoa, wait a minute. You're not so militant that you're not willing to. Oh, okay. And I think she gained a lot of respect there. Yeah. All right. So I think that's about all I have for that. Sorry, it came as a bit of a mess and a jumble on my part. No, because you just never knew where to start. Right? I could have started with the resignation. There's just so many angles all at once.
Yeah, so it's difficult to nail it all down in one shot.
But this is, I mean, to me, it's a coup. Because it's a soft coup.
Yes,
but
nevertheless,
the guy was wanted to run, I guess, and got pushed out. Now, the one thing that still hasn't, don't know how that will change the debate schedule or if it will, because there is one more debates scheduled. But since he was going to debate twice against Biden and would only debate once against the next person, will he do it again? I don't know. Ronald Rumprose was his usual classy self upon hearing the news. So much for unity, y'all. And that didn't happen. I won't even bother read it. It was just
that unity statement lasted about a day, if that.
It was verbal diarrhea and just a screed.
Well, so let's his whole unity thing. After the attempt on my life when I was shot in the ear. Okay, you weren't shot in the ear. You were hit by a piece of plexiglass from a teleprompter. Because if you were shot in the ear with an AR-15 bullet, it would have torn it off completely. You wouldn't have a scratch. You wouldn't have an ear anymore. This has already been demonstrated.
So, and that's the other thing that was going on with all of this, right? It had been many. There had been many requests for the medical report. Somebody tried to assassinate the president. Nobody's seen it yet. And then because Biden came down with COVID, we're getting notes about the state of his condition, how it's progressing, what his prognosis is, but still nothing with regard to Trump. So yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, Ronnie Jackson, the former White House attending physician to the former president, and he was former for a reason because he had the nickname the Candyman because he was a bit of a pill pusher. He was the one that said like Trump could live up to 200 years old if he just stopped eating hamburgers or cheeseburgers or something.
200.
Yeah, that guy. So that guy put out a report saying, I've seen the president, and like, oh, he's also lost his license to practice in a couple of places.
Yeah, he's a little
I've seen the president like this, and he's got this thing, and the bullet passed like a couple millimeters from his face, like 6 or 7 millimeters more, and he would have gotten it if his face wasn't turned, and all that kind of stuff. And yes, there's lots of blood, and he has a bit of a chip there, or like a little laceration or something, the little piece that's missing or something. There have been no medical reports, have been hardly any attempts to review the medical team, whatnot like this. But on the CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell, there was a small little thing, a little clip where they got, I think, they did have an interview with Dr. I think his name's David Rittinghouse or something like that, who was the emergency physician on duty at the time. And it's only a little clip. It's like 22 seconds. But he said that the president didn't need stitches. The former president, should I say Mr. Trump, I should just say Mr. Trump, didn't need stitches. So here it is, Mr. Grizzly. I'll give it to you if you could put it up there.
Sure thing.
There you go. Got this. I found this from guy Alex Cole on Twitter, but it is from CBS News because I went to, and it's authentic. I went to go look at the episode of the CBS News that this one was from, and this was it, to see if there was more after I had heard this. But it literally is it. That's the only thing. And that's the only thing I've been able to find. I've tried to find an interview with this guy. I've tried to find nothing. That's the only thing. So somebody
disappeared.
This guy, I don't know, but this guy managed to get an interview with him somehow. The guy who did this, but they only used about 20, like one little couple seconds.
The former president was treated at Butler Memorial Hospital. He did not require stitches.
When I heard the call, you're thinking worst case scenario.
Dr. David Rittinghouse says his staff coordinated with the Secret Service well in advance of the rally.
It was surreal. You prepare for things like this. You don't necessarily prepare to receive a president or former president.
He didn't need stitches. Right? Lending more credence to the fact that it was a piece of shrapnel, because for sure that had he actually been grazed by a bullet like this, he'd have that medical report and he'd be holding it upside down like a Bible.
It's literally, it would have torn his ear completely off.
But it would have been all over, right? The copy of that report, right? So, but they're pushing Trump literally took a bullet for America narrative. So, I mean, if there's a medical report that says that the bullet didn't touch him, that was really a piece of shrapnel, kind of kills that story, right?
Well, I got something interesting for you. It's sort of an aside, but it's directly related to what we're talking about. It says, now that Trump is officially the oldest presidential candidate ever, I expect the media to spend weeks focusing on his age and his mental capacity.
Well, that's where it flips, right?
I got to give credit where credit is due. This is from Black Knight 10K.
Yep.
That's pretty brilliant because, yeah, he's spot on.
He is spot on.
When does that start? Will it start? It should start because he ain't wrong.
Right? So
he ain't wrong.
He ain't wrong. But that's what's going to be interesting. It's going to see whether or not the news coverage changes to cover every single one now of Trump's gaffes.
Yeah.
Now, Here's a little interesting thing, Mr. Grizzly, from Kamala Harris's
And what might that be?
Twitter feed. There we go. This is what I'm looking forward to while I'm talking about the debates.
There we go. I prosecuted sex predators. Trump is one. I shut down for-profit scam colleges. He ran one. I held big banks accountable. He's owned by them. I'm not just prepared to take on Trump. I'm prepared to beat him. Oh, sister's not. She came to play.
So we basically have a situation of the prosecutor versus the predator. And given that the Supreme Court of the United States has pretty much told us all that we are not going to get a trial date, because that debate might be the first and only time in front of a camera that Father Mucker faces a lawyer. A lot of people are going to be watching that debate. Should that happen?
I'm going to have some popcorn and some drinks and maybe a beer or two, possibly. I think whenever it happens, assuming that it does, I think it's going to kick some serious butt. Because, I mean, look, he was no match for Hillary Clinton, but he, tried to bully his way through that debate, and I had to shut it down because there was no moderation on it. Like, I was in Geneva at the time on vacation, and I got up at some ungodly hour to watch the debate, and it was literally 30 minutes in. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I got to get out, because the moderators weren't doing anything to control Trump. They let him run rampant. Remember that moderator we showed not too long ago? Yes, yeah. That's not an answer to the question. You clearly have no answer. We're moving on.
Yep.
That is how you moderate a debate. That is how you do it. Literally, you were posed a question. You refuse to answer it. We're moving on. We're not wasting any more time here. That is not an answer to the question. We are moving on. Next up is, that is how you do it. So you just sent me an ad from Kamala Harris from 2020?
Yes.
And let's have a look.
This is from 2020.
Right. So this is 4 years ago. And let's just have a watch of this, shall we?
Look at this. Well, think about this. He's a world leader in temper tantrums. She never loses her cool. She prosecuted sex predators. He is one.
Grab him by the...
She shut down for-profit colleges that swindled Americans. He was a for-profit college.
At Trump University, we teach success.
Literally. He's owned by the big banks. She's the attorney general who beat the biggest banks in America and forced them to pay homeowners $18 billion. He's tearing us apart. She'll bring us together. This is Trump. And in every possible way, this is the anti-Trump. So if that's what you're looking for in your next president, there's really only one. Kamala. Sick of this?
Wow.
Well, think about this.
She could recycle that.
Yeah, just recycle it. I mean, why not? It ain't wrong.
She could recycle that.
Word for word, verbatim. There's no need to even look. I'm going to save us some money, folks. I already have it. It's right here. Just roll it. It's from 4 years ago. The only thing that has changed is he's a 34 felony counts that he hasn't been sentenced yet. He's been convicted, but he hasn't been sentenced.
Oh, man. All right. We'll see what happens next in that front. It's going to be interesting. At home, kids and cubs, because normally we start with the wildfire stuff. And, this was big, massive international news. So, We decided to do that. uh, let's see. I have some crowd strikes up, but yeah, let's do the wildfire thing here.
Okay, I don't have a whole lot of extra time this morning. I know I'm on vacation, but I'm on vacation. I have a lot of editing work to do today. Today will be the one work day this week for me, where I'm going to try and get all the edits out of the way, get everything up to date on the audio version that we have, and yeah, I've got like 7 or 8 hours worth of work ahead of me, and Bridget is on her way over here shortly, and I have to take out Lola soon, so we're going to have to wrap up shortly, and tomorrow we can do a bit more of a deep dive into this, but I do have limited time today, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Kids and Cubs, I guess that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless, so please tell your peeps and poops all about us. If you would like to support us and make sure that you do not miss an episode, you don't have to, thanks to the Ray Girl. She has sponsored our pod page, podpage.com/ the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you press subscribe there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. If you would like to help us in other ways, please go to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page and click on our buttons there, like, share, subscribe. We appreciate when you do that. Or you can go to our coffee page, which is the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's Head, coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And there you will find the Emergency Hydration Fund. If you would like to support us and encourage us to do more, we would really appreciate that. We'd love to hear from you. TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com is our email address. You can write to us at TrueEager, leave a comment on our YouTube page or on our Facebook page as well. We appreciate that. We try to read absolutely everything. If because democracy is something that you do, please write letters to your MPs to make clear what it is that you want known, and also your provincial representatives. It's always very important. And if you have an opportunity, please support the wheelchair basketball program by going and buying one of their nifty and very, very stylish t-shirts. And hopefully I'll be able to put the link in the chat for you again today before we go. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom today. Despite the shakeup we've seen in the U.S. political spectrum, and despite the hounding by Canadian media for our current prime ministers to step down, which we all think is sort of a right-wing media pundit gang-up, despite all of that, I'm still able to smile through it all because I know at the end of the day, nobody's going to be able to take anything away from me. And I hope you realize that too. Now, that could change in the future, and I hate to say it, it's an absolute possibility, and I hope that is not the case, but it is possible that things could be taken away from us. And by that, I'm going to show you something here. Well, this is from Margaret Atwood. She's making a comment on something somebody else said. And I'm saying right now, nobody's taking anything away from you. You have to be ever vigilant and ever cautious because in the future it's possible. Rita Mead at Sh0w Decimal tweeted, you know, in The Handmaid's Tale flashback scenes where everything still feels kind of normal, but they start dropping small hints that shit is starting to go very wrong very soon? We're in that part right now, but with really big fucking hints.
Mm-hmm.
To which Margaret Atwood responds, ahem.
Mm-hmm.
So, breathe easy for now. Remember to be ever vigilant and get out and vote.
Mm-hmm. I saw another thing saying, you know, we're not, what is it? We're not falling into autocracy or whatnot. We're being like deliberately marched into it.
Yes.
So, yeah. All right, Mr. Grizzly. But yes, try to smile.
Try to
Sorry,
smile
I ended
through
it
it,
on a
baby.
downer. uh,
Remember?
Mr. Grizzly, please roll the not roll the credits, cue the cock.
There we go.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
So
All right.
I have a quick Easter egg for you. I understand you have one too. I'm going to show you this one quick because this relates to how we started the top of the show. And I think you'll find it very interesting because it's something that we need to do in this country, which we're not doing. So this is from Secretary Pete Buttigieg. We have received reports of continued disruptions and unacceptable customer service conditions at Delta Airlines, including hundreds of complaints filed with the U.S. Department of Transportation. I have made clear to Delta that we will hold them to all applicable passenger protections. Delta must provide prompt refunds to consumers who choose not to take rebooking, free rebooking for those who do, and timely reimbursements for food and hotel stays to consumers affected by these delays and cancellations, as well as adequate customer service assistance. No one should be stranded at an airport overnight or stuck on hold for hours waiting to talk to a customer service agent. If any airline fails to honor its customer service requirements, let us know. And he then provides the website that you can do that to. And here's the comment from our friend David Moskrop. If this were in Canada, we'd just give them a bailout.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, started the show by saying, my flight was delayed by 2.5 hours and they charged me $68 to check. By the way,
Right.
my bag was a carry-on. I checked it because I had a shoulder bag and I had a bag with some goodies that I, souvenirs and that sort of thing.
Right.
I checked it for that reason. $68. Flight was delayed 2.5 hours. WestJet never gets my money again. First and worst, that's it. Their staff was lovely. Their staff was wonderful. Their organization, I have a problem with.
Saw a couple of comments about the fact that we're covering so much American stuff. Absolutely. Get it, but it's kind of historic
It's
stuff
big news.
that's going on. I mean, it's like, when in our lifetimes has there been a president that's decided that they're not going to run in the middle of a campaign, that they're going to step down? Since Reagan, when has there been an assassination attempt?
Right. It's a lot.
It's big news. It's a
and
political show. It's big news.
It's a political show. We focus on Canadian politics, but it's politics and general culture. And even though that is U.S. politics, it is kind of general culture that affects our culture too. So I think it's good that we lean into it.
Yeah. Now, my Easter eggs is a little bit of good news, since I ended a bit on a downer there before going to cue the cock. But a gentleman named Derek G. Who's a cyclist, and will be competing at the Olympics, became the third Canadian ever to finish in the top 10 in the Classification Générale of the Tour de France.
Oh.
Yes.
That's why I know his name. Yes, because I read about him the other day.
Yeah. So I think he got 3 top 10 finishes over the course of the race. There's 21 stages. Some of them are time trials. The end was a time trial. Usually the last time trial ends on the grand and going through the Champs-Élysées and whatnot, but because of Olympic preparations, it was one from a ride from Monaco to Nice, I think, instead. But he finished sixth in that time trial, which clinched the 9th place overall. Like I said, that's a big thing. Race. There's like 160 riders when
Yeah.
it starts. It's like one of the most noted sports events all around the globe. And
Mhm.
Canadians have finished top 10 only twice before, right before the Olympics.
Very
Picks
cool.
up. So he's ready. Big congratulations as well to Team Canada, our volleyball players. I think the girls under 19 team, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay, so that
that
would be
just
girls
won.
then. Yeah.
That just won the Pan American Cup, defeating the United States 3 sets to 1 in that one. And then in basketball, the World Under 17 Championships for women were going on. And Canada was playing in the final, I believe, against the USA. And for some reason, or is that tonight? I might be mistaken. Yes, played against the final. Unfortunately, they lost 84-64, but picked up the silver medal, the World Under 17 Women's Championships.
Nice.
So the future is really, really good. Kids are all
Well,
right.
The Olympic coverage, I think, kicks off Thursday. The Parade of Nations is on Friday. I will be watching as much of it as I possibly can. I go back.
Mhm.
It's Monday, so a week from today. So I'm going to. I'm not going to. Like I said, today will be my working day where I'm going to get all the edits and everything out of the way so that I can enjoy the rest of this week worry free.
Yeah. There is some competition Thursday and Friday. Team Canada's first in action, I believe, on Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I believe our Canadian women's soccer team takes on New Zealand.
Oh, outstanding.
Yes, prior to the opening ceremonies. So there you go. All right,
right.
kids and cubs, have a Beaver day.
I'll see you.
And try not to let the events get ahead of you.